The bright lights on the control panel kept going out one by one. Commander Lee Hanna stood in front of the big screen, watching as another group of stars disappeared from the galaxy map. The space station felt empty and quiet now. Only a few people were left working there, and their footsteps echoed in the long hallways. 12 billion people just died, said Lieutenant Park Minho in a soft voice. He was looking at his computer screen with sad eyes. The Andromedans could not fight back. The enemy killed them all in 6 hours. Hanna felt angry and scared at the same time. The thing they called the Void Swarm was moving across space like black paint spilling on paper. It was eating everything. Whole planets, entire star systems, billions of living beings. Nothing could stop it. This enemy was not like anything they had seen before. It did not just kill things, it made them disappear completely, as if they had never existed at all. The most powerful alien races in the galaxy had tried to fight it. Species that could travel faster than light, beings made of pure energy, even huge group minds that shared thoughts across thousands of worlds, all of them were gone now. At exactly 3:47 in the morning, an important message came through. The face of High Counselor Veltar appeared on the screen. This alien looked like it was made of crystal, and the red warning lights made its face shine in different colors. "We are leaving the galaxy now," the alien said in a cold, robot-like voice. "All civilizations must come to the meeting points right away. We will take some species with us to the Andromeda Galaxy. We have chosen who gets to come based on how advanced they are and how useful they can be." Hanna watched as a long list of alien names appeared on the screen. Zephyrians, Collective Prime, Luminal Confederacy. Nexus Builders, hundreds of different species were approved to escape to safety. She looked for one name on the list, but could not find it anywhere. Commander Park said, and his voice was shaking. "They are not going to save us." Through the thick windows of the space station, Hanna could see huge ships leaving. These were like giant cities flying through space, carrying the smartest and most powerful aliens to safety in another galaxy. Earth, with its 4 billion humans, was not invited. The alien leaders had decided that humans were too simple, too weak, would cost too much to save. The galaxy was leaving humanity behind, to die alone. Hanna felt her heart beating fast, but she kept her voice calm. "Send a message to all human bases," she said. "Tell them we have to take care of ourselves now." As she watched the alien ships disappear into the darkness, Hanna thought about what this meant. For thousands of years, humans had dreamed of joining the great galactic community. They had worked hard to prove they were smart enough, good enough, to be accepted by the advanced alien races. Now, when the greatest danger in the universe was coming to destroy everything, those same aliens had looked at humanity and decided they were not worth saving. Earth was being abandoned like an old, broken toy that no one wanted anymore. Park was still watching his screens, counting how many star systems were going dark. "The swarm is moving faster now," he said. "At this speed, it will reach our solar system in 3 months. 3 months. Hanna closed her eyes for a moment. That was all the time they had left. While the powerful aliens ran away to safety, humanity would have to face this cosmic horror with nothing but their own courage and determination. She opened her eyes and looked around the control room. The few humans who were still there were all looking at her, waiting for orders. These people could have tried to escape on their own, but they had chosen to stay and fight. Maybe that was what made humans different from the aliens who had abandoned them. "Listen to me," Hanna said to her crew. "The aliens think we are too weak to survive this. They think we are not worth saving, but they are wrong. You have something they do not have." "What is that, Commander?" asked Park. Hanna smiled, even though she was more scared than she had ever been in her life. "We never give up. When everything looks hopeless, when everyone else runs away, humans stay and fight. That is who we are." Outside the station, the last of the alien rescue ships vanished into the distance. The galaxy was becoming a darker, quieter place. Soon, only the Void Swarm and humanity would be left. But as Hanna looked at the determined faces around her, she felt something strange. It was not hope exactly, but it was not despair either. It was the feeling that maybe, just maybe, the aliens, had made a big mistake when they decided to leave the humans behind. The galaxy had burned bright. When it was full of advanced civilizations, now it was humanity's turn to see what they could do when they walked through the fire alone. Dr. Kim Suji put her hand on the thick metal wall as the space station shook again. The enemy's strange energy hit their research lab, making all the machines rattle and shake like old bones. But Kim did not care about the danger. She was too busy looking at the numbers on her computer screen. "This cannot be real," she said to herself, checking the same test for the 5th time. What she was seeing was impossible. The void swarm was not just killing things and making them disappear, it was changing them into something completely different. Something that did not follow the normal rules of space and time, far away from the research station. Captain Cho Wook was flying his warship through what used to be a beautiful alien world. Now it was just floating rocks and metal pieces drifting in space. His small group of ships was all that Earth had for fighting in deep space. And they moved quietly through this graveyard of dead civilizations. "Captain, I am finding living people," said Navigation Officer Yoon Suna from her control seat. "There are about 2,000 of them alive on the 3rd moon." Wook felt his heart jump with happiness. Some aliens did not escape on the big ships. "Looks like these are worker aliens, sir. The ones that the collective left behind when they ran away?" As they flew closer to the moon, Wook saw something that made him both angry and sad. All across the dead worlds, there were groups of aliens who had been abandoned. These were the workers, the poor ones, and the aliens that the fancy civilizations thought were not good enough to save. Billions of living beings had been left behind to die alone. "Send a message on all radio channels," Wook ordered. "This is Captain Cho Wook from Earth's fleet. If anyone can hear me, know that we have not forgotten you. We are coming to help." At first, only a few weak signals came back. They were from aliens hiding in underground shelters, calling for help because their air and power were running out. But as more aliens heard about the human ships, the messages got stronger. Earth was not the only world that had been left behind. There were friends among all the abandoned aliens, if they were brave enough to work together. Back in her laboratory, Dr. Kim found something else that worried her. The swarm was changing things faster now, but it seemed to have trouble with some kinds of life forms. The ones with messy, unpredictable genes did not change as easily as the others. These messy genes were very much like human genes. Kim looked at her computer screen and felt scared and excited at the same time. She had been studying how different alien species were built, and she knew that most advanced aliens had very organized, perfect genetic patterns. Their DNA was like a beautiful, complex machine, with every part in exactly the right place. Human DNA was different. It was messy and chaotic, full of extra pieces and random changes that had happened over millions of years of evolution. Aliens had always thought this made humans inferior and primitive, but now Kim was seeing that this messy human DNA might be exactly what they needed to survive. She ran more tests, checking the genetic patterns of species that the swarm had already destroyed. The pattern was clear. The more organized and perfect an alien's genes were, the faster the swarm could change them into something else. But messy, chaotic genes seemed to confuse the swarm's process. "The computers show me the genetic analysis of all known human populations," Kim said. The results made her gasp. Human DNA was the messiest, most chaotic genetic pattern in the entire galaxy, where other species had cleaned up their genes over millions of years of evolution. Humans had kept all the random mutations and genetic accidents. What other species saw as flaws might actually be humanity's greatest strength. Meanwhile, Captain Wook was learning more about the aliens who had been abandoned. Most of them were workers who had been considered too unimportant to save. Some were disabled or sick aliens who would have taken up too much space on the escape ships. Others were from mixed genetic backgrounds that the purebred alien leaders thought were inferior. "Captain," said Communications Officer Park Ji-hoon, "I am getting messages from 17 different star systems. There are survivors everywhere, all asking for help." Wook looked at the star map, showing all the places where abandoned aliens were still alive. There were so many of them, scattered across dozens of worlds. The great alien civilizations had saved their elite and their purebred populations, but they had left behind millions of ordinary people to die. Set course for the nearest survivor group, Wook ordered. We may not be able to save everyone, but we will save as many as we can. As his ships changed direction, Wook thought about what they were really doing. The powerful aliens had decided that some lives were worth saving and others were not. They had chosen perfection over compassion, genetic purity over simple decency. But humans had always been different. They had learned long ago that every life had value, that the strong should protect the weak. Maybe that was why the aliens had left them behind. Maybe they knew that humans would never abandon anyone, no matter how hopeless things looked. The galaxy was full of the abandoned now, all waiting to see if anyone would come for them, General. Han Bora stood deep underground in a military bunker beneath the city of Seoul. She was looking at a big screen that showed what was happening across the solar system. For 3 days now, humans had been trying the most dangerous plan in their history. They called it Operation Prometheus, and it was killing most of the people who tried it. The space station at Ganymede is gone, said Intelligence Officer Lim. Tyke in a sad voice. All 700 people there are dead, General. Their families want to know why we are wasting so many lives. Bora's old tired face did not show her feelings, but her hands were shaking as she looked at all the death reports. Dr. Kim had told them that human genes might protect them from the swarm. But testing this idea meant watching thousands of people die horrible deaths. The plan was simple but terrible. Human colonies on Mars, Europa, and other worlds were letting themselves be hit by swarm energy on purpose. They hoped that some humans would survive and become immune to the enemy. Them died screaming as the alien energy tore them apart from the inside. Wait, Dr. Kim suddenly called out from her computer station. Something strange is happening at the Titan mining base. The people there are still alive, but they are changing. The big screen switched to show Saturn's largest moon. Everyone expected to see more dead bodies, but instead they found something amazing. The humans there were not dying from the swarm energy. Their bodies were adapting to it, learning how to survive it. I cannot believe this, whispered Dr. Kim as she looked at her readings. They are becoming immune. Not just protected, they are developing complete immunity to the swarm's power. Communications Specialist Park Ji-hoon suddenly sat up straight at his desk. General, I'm getting a message from the Titan survivors. They say they can feel how the swarm works, and they think they can stop it. This was the breakthrough they had been hoping for. 12 hours later, something incredible happened. A small group of the changed humans on Titan managed to push back against the swarm's advance. They created a safe area in space where the swarm could not reach, like a bubble of normal reality in the middle of the enemy's darkness. The process was very painful. Each immune human could only keep the safe zone working for a few minutes before they collapsed from exhaustion. But it worked. For the first time since the war began, humans had actually hurt the swarm. Dr. Kim was studying the data from Titan with excitement and fear. The survivors there are not just immune, she explained to the others. The swarm energy has changed their DNA in a way that makes them able to fight back. They can sense the enemy's patterns and disrupt them. General Bora felt hope growing in her chest for the first time in months. But she also knew what this meant. If they wanted to create more immune humans, they would have to expose thousands more people to the deadly swarm energy. Send out the order, Bora said in a strong voice. Expand Protocol Prometheus to all remaining human settlements. Ask for volunteers. The response was overwhelming. When humans across the solar system heard that there might be a way to fight back, thousands of them volunteered to risk their lives. They knew that most of them would die, but they also knew that humanity needed weapons against an enemy that seemed impossible to defeat. On Luna Base, a grandmother named Mrs. Park kissed her family goodbye and walked into the exposure chamber. On the asteroid mining station series, young couples held hands as they faced the swarm energy together. In the underwater cities of Europa, children as young as 16 lied about their ages so they could volunteer. Most of them died. The swarm Energy was like liquid fire in their veins, tearing apart their genetic structure and leaving nothing but ash. But some survived. 1 out of every 50 humans who underwent the process emerged, changed. Their DNA rewritten by the alien energy in ways that made them living. Weapons against the darkness. These survivors were different from normal humans. They could see energy patterns that others could not detect. They could sense the swarm's presence from thousands of miles away. Most importantly, they could create zones of disruption that stopped the enemy's advance, even if only for a short time. The first immune humans were in constant pain. Their changed DNA made them stronger, but it also made them suffer. They described feeling like they were on fire from the inside, but they refused to give up. They knew they were humanity's only hope. The volunteers are calling themselves the Firewalkers, reported Park Ji-hoon. They say they walk through the swarm's fire and come out the other side. General Bora watched as more reports came in from across the solar system. Immune humans were creating safe zones around refugee camps. They were disrupting swarm attacks on the last human colonies. For the first time since the war began, humanity was not just running away. They were fighting back. Captain Cho, Bora ordered. Tell him we have found our weapon. It is time to take this war directly to the enemy. The cost had been terrible, but humanity had discovered something the aliens never could have imagined. Sometimes the thing that makes you weak can also make you strong. Captain Cho. Wook's warship appeared inside enemy space like a ghost coming out of hell. The ship was called the Soul's Pride, and its metal walls were now covered with special material taken from the immune humans. The ship glowed with strange energy as it flew through the swarm's deadly fields without getting hurt. All systems are working perfectly, said First Officer Moon Hae-jin from her control station. The bioprotection is holding strong. We are actually flying through this terrible place safely. All around them, space itself was twisting and moving with evil energy that wanted to destroy everything it touched. But the human ship cut through. It like a sharp knife cutting through water. Deep inside the ship's cargo areas, survivors from many different alien species were crowded together. These were maintenance workers, genetic outcasts, disabled and old aliens that the big evacuation fleets had left behind to die. Now they were all safe under human protection. Dr. Kim's voice came through the radio from her mobile laboratory. Captain, I am detecting huge life signs on the planet below us. It looks like millions of Nexus Builder workers who are trapped in conversion chambers. Time to ruin their party, Wook said with a grim smile. Send out the Firewalker teams. What happened next was unlike any military operation in history. Human soldiers whose DNA had been changed by swarm exposure jumped directly into the planet's conversion facilities. These places were filled with energy fields that should have destroyed any living thing instantly, but the humans walked through them safely. Their chaotic genetics created waves of disruption that allowed the trapped aliens to escape. Navigation. Officer Yoon Suna controlled the rescue operation from space. Her enhanced senses allowed her to feel where the swarm would move before it actually moved. More survivors are coming from the northern continent. I count 15,000 collective drones who never made it to the evacuation ships. The same pattern happened across dozens of star systems. Humanity's immune forces cut paths of safety through swarm-controlled space, rescuing the galaxy's forgotten masses and building secret networks of resistance fighters. Each successful mission brought new friends, alien species whose imperfect genetics made them naturally resistant to conversion. The Firewalker soldiers were amazing to watch. They moved through deadly energy like it was just warm air. When they found trapped aliens, they would create bubbles of normal space around them, allowing the prisoners to escape. The process was painful for the humans, their faces twisted, in agony as they fought against the swarm's power, but they never gave up. Lieutenant Kim Dae-ho led one of the ground teams into a massive conversion facility on the planet's surface. The building was the size of a city, filled with millions of alien workers who were slowly being changed into something else by the swarm's machines. Stay close to me, Kim told his team of immune soldiers. Remember, we can only maintain the safe zones for a few minutes at a time. They walked into the facility like they were walking into a furnace. The air itself was thick with conversion energy that would have killed normal humans instantly. But the firewalkers pushed forward. There, changed DNA creating ripples of disruption that carved safe paths through the deadly environment. Inside, they found horror beyond imagination. Thousands of alien workers were trapped in glowing chambers, their bodies slowly being transformed by the swarm. Some were already half-converted, their original forms twisted into something unrecognizable. "Start the evacuation," Kim ordered. His soldiers spread out, each one creating a zone of safety around groups of trapped aliens. The aliens stumbled out of their conversion chambers, confused and terrified but alive. Back on the Soul's Pride, communications specialist Park Ji-hoon was receiving messages from across the galaxy. "Sir, we are getting coded transmissions from resistance cells in the Vega sector. They are calling us the Firewalkers, those who can pass through the swarm's flames without being burned." Captain Wook smiled sadly as he watched another group of survivors come aboard his ship. The galaxy's most powerful and intelligent species had run away to safety in another galaxy, leaving behind what they considered genetic trash. But that trash was proving to be the key to survival itself. The rescued aliens looked at their human saviors with wonder and gratitude. These humans were not the most advanced species in the galaxy. They did not have the best technology or the most organized society. But they had something that all the advanced aliens lacked. They never abandoned anyone. Dr. Kim was studying the rescued aliens and making new discoveries. "Captain, I am finding that many of these abandoned species have genetic irregularities that make them partially resistant to swarm conversion. The advanced aliens saved their purebred populations and left behind everyone with mixed or chaotic genetics. So they accidentally left behind the ones who could actually survive," Wook said with bitter irony, as more rescue ships returned with survivors. The human fleet was becoming something new, not just a military force, but a mobile city of the abandoned and forgotten. Humans and aliens worked together, united by their shared experience of being left behind by those who thought they were superior. "Send a message to all Firewalker units," Wook commanded. "Operation Lighthouse is starting now. It's time to stop just rescuing people. It's time to start taking star systems back from the enemy." The abandoned were becoming the saviors. The Firewalkers were leading them home through the flames. Admiral Lee Hanna stood on the control deck of humanity's biggest warship, the Earthrise, watching something amazing happen. The star in the Proxima system was starting to shine brightly again after being dark for months. Around her, humans and rescued aliens worked together as one team. Their shared suffering had made them closer than family. "The swarm energy is completely gone," reported Chief Science Officer Kim Suji, and her voice was full of wonder. Even after months of winning impossible battles, she still could not believe what they were doing. "The star is working normally again. We've saved another system." Through the big windows, Hannah could see the results of humanity's incredible war. Dead planets were coming back to life. Their surfaces were being cleaned of swarm poison by the genetic chaos that immune humans spread everywhere they went. Abandoned alien species, once left behind to die, had become the galaxy's saviors. Admiral called Communications Chief Park Ji-hoon from his station. "I am receiving important messages from the Andromeda evacuation fleets. The Galactic Council is asking for permission to come home." Hannah almost laughed at how ironic this was. The same alien species that had abandoned humanity as too primitive to save were now begging for safe passage home through swarm-controlled space. Only the Firewalkers could guide them through the dangerous energy storms that had once seemed impossible to cross. "Open a communication channel to all evacuation fleets," Hannah ordered. "Send it to everyone." The holographic communicator turned on, and suddenly she was talking to the assembled leadership of galactic civilization. These were the same species that had once looked down on humanity as genetic garbage. "This is Admiral Lee Hanna of the Terran Liberation Fleet," she began, her voice carrying the weight of all the people who had died to make this moment possible. "You left us to die, saying our chaos was not worth saving. But chaos, we learned, was exactly what the galaxy needed." On her computer screen, She could see the refugee fleets waiting at the edge of the galaxy, too afraid to enter their own home space without human protection. The galaxy burned bright when you were here, Hannah continued. Right. But we walked through that fire and found something you never could, the strength that comes from being considered imperfect. For those who want to return home, we have lit the way back. But understand this, the galaxy you return to will not be the one you left. The abandoned now guide the elite. The primitive now protect the advanced. The first return fleet began its journey home that same day, following the trail of reborn stars that humanity and its allies had carved through the darkness. Behind them came others, until the great exodus completely reversed itself. Dr. Kim watched from the observation deck as the former enemy fleets passed through human-controlled space. Their crews were humbled by needing protection from the species they had once dismissed as worthless. Do you think they have learned their lesson? Asked Captain Cho-wook, joining her at the big window. Kim smiled, her genetically changed eyes seeing energy patterns that normal humans could not see. Some will learn, others will need more time. But the galaxy belongs to all of us now, not just the perfect ones. The journey back home was not easy for the returning aliens. They had to travel through systems that were still dangerous, where swarm energy lingered like poison in the air. Human firewalker ships escorted them every step of the way there. Immune crews creating safe corridors through the deadly regions. Many of the returning aliens were shocked by what they found. The galaxy they had left behind was not the same place they remembered. Worlds that had been perfectly organized were now chaotic mixing grounds where different species worked together. The strict genetic hierarchies they had built over thousands of years were gone, replaced by communities based on cooperation rather than genetic purity. On the bridge of the Earthrise, Hannah received reports from across the galaxy. "Admiral, the vegan system is reporting full restoration," said one officer. "The collective homeworld is asking for help rebuilding their society. The Nexus builders want to establish a joint research facility with our scientists," reported. Another, "They say they want to learn how to make their genetics more ... chaotic." Hannah nodded at each report. The galaxy was being reborn, but it was being reborn different. The old ways of thinking about genetic superiority and species hierarchy were dying along with the swarm. In their place was growing something new, a galaxy where diversity was seen as strength, where the imperfect were valued as much as the perfect. As the Earthrise set course for the next system in need of liberation, Hannah thought about humanity's incredible journey. They had started as the abandoned ones, dismissed as too chaotic to matter. But that chaos had become their greatest weapon, allowing them to walk through fires that burned up perfection itself. The galaxy still burned, but now it burned with the light of hope. That light was kindled by those who had learned to find strength in their imperfections, and who refused to let anyone face the darkness alone, looking out at the stars. Hannah knew that the real victory was not just defeating the swarm. The real victory was proving that every life had value. The strong should protect the weak, and that sometimes the ones everyone thinks are worthless turn out to be the most valuable of all. The galaxy had walked through fire, and on the other side, they had found each other.